Last week, the Minnesota Vikings decided to trade up into the first round. Now we're not moving up from 11 to number 3, number 2, number 4. No. We actually traded our second round pick and I believe one other pick to move up into the first round so that we have 2 first round picks. We have the 11th overall pick and the 23rd overall pick. And right then and there, you know that the Minnesota Vikings are eyeing their future at that quarterback position. We are looking to draft a young guy to potentially be the future of the franchise, lead this team to hopefully one day a Super Bowl, okay? And yes, it's going to be tough to trade up into the top 3 spots because the Chicago Bears unloaded Justin Jefferson this weekend, just on Saturday, I want to say, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're set to take Caleb Williams. At number 2, the Washington Commanders had Sam Howell until they traded him over to the Seattle Seahawks. So now they're going to take a quarterback. And then the New England Patriots, they get rid of Mac Jones. They still have Bailey Zappi. They signed Jacoby Brissett, but they still need a franchise guy, so you're going to assume that they're going to take a quarterback as well. And the top 3 right now are Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. Those are the consensus top 3 quarterbacks in this year's draft. So it only leaves a couple for the Minnesota Vikings to really pick and choose who they might want to be their new future quarterback going forward. And the overall consensus pick for the Vikings is JJ McCarthy, national champion out of Michigan. Dude is a baller, okay? Some people don't like him. Some people say he might have a Zach Wilson-esque type of play style. I beg to differ. I think he, is more than capable of winning a lot of games and really just thriving in certain systems. And I think he'll thrive here with Kevin O'Connell in that system. But the story today is basically, look, JJ McCarthy is probably going to be the future quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, and he is set to have a private workout with the Minnesota Vikings. So let's dive right into it. Before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like. So, the Minnesota Vikings have arranged a private workout with Michigan quarterback JJ McCarthy following a trade with the Houston Texans that gave them a second first-round pick per Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer. Now, according to Breer, Minnesota plans to have quarterbacks coach Josh McCown and Grant Udinski in attendance at McCarthy's pro day, and head coach Kevin O'Connell and general manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah are going to be at the private workouts. The quarterback coach and the both quarterbacks coaches will basically be at his pro day. We'll host this private workout next week where the head coach Kevin O'Connell and our GM will be there. I'm sure the quarterback coaches will be there as well in attendance to kind of make sure and really see how things are developing and if they actually want to pull the trigger on this guy, because he might be the selection that we end up going with, right? Now, here's what Albert Breer wrote. The Vikings had plans in motion for quarterback coaches Josh McCown and Grant Udinski to be in Ann Arbor for Michigan quarterback JJ McCarthy's pro day this Friday. Okay, Minnesota has also arranged a private workout on campus with JJ McCarthy for next week with head coach Kevin O'Connell and GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah set to make that trip. So first, it's going to be the pro day on Friday. We're going to have both quarterback coaches dialed in, okay, scouting this guy. How good is he? And then next week, on campus in Ann Arbor in Michigan, both our head coach and GM, we're going to be there to take a closer look at JJ McCarthy to see if what the quarterback coaches said basically translate to what they're going to see on the field, right? Now, on Friday, the Vikings traded a second-round pick, a sixth-round pick, and a 2025 second-round pick to the Texans in exchange for the 23rd overall pick in this year's draft, okay? The first round, 23rd overall. Minnesota also holds the 11th overall pick, which we mentioned earlier. Now, JJ McCarthy threw for 2,991 yards, 22 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. That's pretty good, especially in the Big Ten, especially when you have to play teams like, Ohio State, those big-time programs, if you will, right? Now, he did that last season, leading Michigan to a national championship, which is fantastic. That is great, right? Now, Bleacher Report's scouting department considers McCarthy to be the number 54 player and the number 4 quarterback in this year's draft class, which is what we basically mentioned with those top 3 picks. Now, he sits only behind quarterbacks Drake May, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels, all of whom are expected to be drafted in the top 10, if not the top 3 or the top 5. Now, after Kirk Cousins signed a 4-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons on Monday, the Vikings added quarterback Sam Darnold on a 1-year deal. Darnold, the third overall pick in the 2018 draft, spent last season as a backup for the San Francisco 49ers, and Darnold started for the 49ers season finale last year, notching 189 passing yards and a touchdown, right? Not too shabby. Now, with Darnold now on the roster, Minnesota has him, Nick Mullins, and Jaren Hall available at quarterback for now. Okay, but we've seen what Nick Mullins and Jaren Hall did last year. Boy, was that ugly, right? We still have to look forward to the future. Now, while Darnold could potentially be the Vikings starter, it seems Minnesota is looking to land McCarthy with one of its first-round picks. McCarthy could end up getting picked earlier than the 11th pick, but it's conceivable that he would be available for the Vikings. There has also reportedly been some considerable buzz about Minnesota looking to trade up into the top 5 to pick JJ McCarthy. Now, that's only if we feel like JJ McCarthy will not be there at 11, okay? Because I know the Denver Broncos, they're looking for a new quarterback. They are looking at JJ McCarthy as well, maybe potentially trying to trade up if they have that type of capital, which I don't think they do. But Minnesota looking to trade up is going to have to bundle those first 2 picks, which is something that doesn't sit well with me. And the only reason it doesn't sit well with me, even regardless of, but that's a franchise guy, we have to go get him, like it's just something we have to do. I'm like, okay, I understand that, right? But we don't have a second-round pick anymore because we traded to the Texans to get that 23rd overall pick. And we entered the season without a third-round pick. So if we bundled those 2 first-round picks and move up into the top 5 to take JJ McCarthy, which I honestly think we could wait and probably get him at 11, pending what the Broncos do, we're looking at a quarterback, and then we're waiting till the 4th round to take our next guy when we need help defensively. We need help at the defensive end position. We need help sort of at the D tackle, even though we filled that with Jerry Tillery just a couple days ago or last week. So we have some help there with Harrison Phillips. But look, the smartest idea or the smartest way we can go about this, right, is take a quarterback at 11 or take a defensive end. Jared Verse, Latu, I believe is how you say his name. Probably pronounced it wrong. I apologize. Edge rusher from UCLA, Dallas Turner from Alabama, Byron Murphy, the second, I believe, from Texas. So there's options defensively on that defensive line spot that we could take at 11 if we feel like JJ McCarthy slips all the way to 23. But that's also a gamble, right? So that's where you kind of look at it and go, might be worth bundling those picks. But if there's a way that we can trade up without having to bundle both our first-round picks, that would be ideal. Like if we have to, trade away the first overall pick or the 11th overall pick and say a future second rounder or like a future third rounder, just do something to bundle up where we can still keep that 23rd overall pick. By all means, I think that'd be the best case scenario for us instead of bundling 2 of those picks, get your quarterback, and now you're waiting till round 4 to basically pick up the scraps. And usually there's still some pretty solid players in round 4. We've seen players flourish from time to time. But all you guys need to know is the Minnesota Vikings are eyeing the future. That very well could be JJ McCarthy, who is now scheduled to have a private workout next week with the Minnesota Vikings with head coach Kevin O'Connell and GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah in attendance. So make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of the night, folks, and Skol Vikes.